Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Beth Ann. Today I want to talk about two books that I finished recently, so I guess this is just a Friday Reads video. So the first of these is American Dreamer by Adriana Herrera. And this is a queer romance, and it was absolutely lovely. So before I get into it, I just wanted to read the first paragraph from her acknowledgments section. So she says, I began writing American Dreamer at a time when the narrative about the place of immigrants in this country had become almost unbearable for me. I set out to write a romance with multicultural characters that represented people like me, but I also wanted to write a story that honored the Afro-Latinx immigrant experience in America. So I believe the author is Dominican, and so one of the main characters who's depicted on the front is Nesto, who is Dominican, and he was born there, but then came to the U.S. as a kid with his mom, and then he has a younger sister who's a bit younger than he is, well, like 10 years younger, I think. And so Nesto has been operating a food truck in New York City for a while. And his food truck draws from Afro-Caribbean cooking, and in particular, he designs burritos with like distinct, sort of distinct flavors and ingredients from several different islands in the Caribbean. And it's really cute. Part of that came out of his incredibly close group of friends. There's a group of four of them that all grew up in the Bronx together, and each of them is from a different island in the Greater Antilles, a different nation in the Greater Antilles in the Caribbean. And so it's just like there's such a powerful friendship vibe in this book. So Nesto, though, has recently decided at the beginning of the book that he is actually going to do a temporary sort of trying it out relocation to upstate New York, in particular to Ithaca, New York, because his mom had moved out there several years previously, but she wanted to raise her younger daughter, who's in high school during this book, in Ithaca. And so he's going to go to be closer to family. He has an aunt and uncle and a cousin there as well. And he's going to give it 6 months, and if his food truck business doesn't sort of take off and become like a real deal, maybe with a possible restaurant opportunity in 6 months, then he can always come back to New York. Romance is not in the plan, but then on his very first day there, he runs into essentially a sexy librarian. I mean, so his name is Jude Fuller, and he is now I'm forgetting his title, but anyway, he runs like the youth programming for the local public library in Ithaca. And he is also very professionally driven. So the big thing going on in his life, so Nesto has his food truck business that he's trying to get off the ground. Then Jude is in the process of going after sort of board approval and funders to create a mobile library program to get more books out into rural communities in the county. So this book is just amazing. It's like one love interest is a cook who's operating a food truck. The other love interest is a librarian trying to get more books into kids' hands. Just like, ugh, I'm already in love. Yeah, and so, things proceed from there. It's a sweet story. Nesto has to sort of deal with his tunnel vision when it comes to his career and his work ethic and workaholicness. He has to sort of figure out whether a relationship can fit into his life. And Jude has to overcome some of his personal history. He's got some baggage that makes him very reluctant to trust people. So this was just a lovely story. It was well written. It moved pretty quickly. I kept wanting to pick it up. This was the book that I turned to when I finished The Count of Monte Cristo as just a light read to make me feel good as a break from that big chonker. So yeah, and I'm trying to think if there are any content warnings needed for this, and I don't really think so. Just a note that there are, I think, about 4 very explicit sex scenes that I thought were really well done, consensual, all of that. But for anybody who doesn't want to read explicit sex, they're very short and can be skipped easily. And then Jude, as I mentioned, he does have baggage. So some of that baggage is due to his family not being accepting of his identity. And that's not a spoiler or anything. We know that pretty early on. And I think for some people just might not want to read about that because it's very real for a lot of folks. So I love this book. It was very enjoyable. There's a series of them because, as I mentioned, Nesto comes from this really tight community of like 4 best friends growing up. And so I think there are 4 books in the series that maybe each are the love story for each of those guys. So I did already order the second one. And I know that's about one of those friends. So looking forward to more of these. Okay, switching gears. The next book I want to talk about is a young adult book. I feel like I've been I don't feel like I have been reading a lot of young adult lately, so I'm going to try to maybe take a break from that or reduce it a little bit. Anyway, another young adult. This is Feeder by Patrick Weeks. And just like with American Dreamer, I think the first place I want to start is actually with a bit in the introduction, in the acknowledgments. So Patrick is saying, thanks to Annie Nybo and everyone at the publisher for being not just understanding, but enthusiastic about a novel whose pitch was Anglerfish Teen Girl Superhero, and for helping it be the best interdimensional anglerfish novel on the market. So if that doesn't already interest you, then I don't know what will. Anglerfish Teen Girl Superhero. So this book it's just super creative. So I was also maybe just going to share some of the description from Storygraph so that I don't get too confused. So Laurie Fisher, the main character, hunts monsters, not with a sword or a gun, but with an interdimensional creature called Handler. Together they take down feeders, aliens who prey on mankind. When Laurie touches a feeder, Handler's impossibly large jaws appear and drag the beast into another dimension. It's a living, or it was, until a job for the Lake Foundation goes wrong and Laurie stumbles across the Knicks, a group of mutant teenagers held captive on the docks. Now the Lake Foundation is hunting Laurie, and if they find Laurie, they find Ben, the brother Laurie would do anything to protect. There's only one thing to do: strike first. Laurie teams up with the Knicks to take on Lake and to discover why the Knicks were kidnapped in the first place. But as she watches their powers unfold, Laurie realizes the Knicks are nothing like her. She has no powers. She has Handler. Maybe she's not the monster hunter after all. Maybe she's just the bait. So there's some identity stuff going on there. And this book was super fun. So definitely a lot of stuff going on. We've got interdimensional monsters coming in. We've got this supervillain, Lake, who in the book most commonly appears as like this super sexy businesswoman with like stilettos and red lipstick, but she's actually just a bag of eels. Like literally, she's just made of eels. And then we have this group of kids, of superhero kids. And all of this is in the backdrop of a world where sea levels have risen. And that's part of the mysterious thing, and one of the first indications in the book that we have that something isn't quite right, because Laurie notices that anytime you talk to anybody else, if you say anything about sort of the water rising or like anything else weird in this world, people will sort of just go blank and say, oh, it's just one of those things. And there's sort of like a glitch in the system, right? So there's something weird going on. And Laurie knows more about it than most people because she is sort of a contractor killing these alien beings. And what you know from the beginning of the book is Laurie is 16. And so if in the beginning of the book, you're like, what's going on? Where are this girl's parents? How is she getting away with being a 16-year-old, living with her 7-year-old brother? Taking him to and from daycare, and like nobody is questioning this, and so it's all sort of part of the weirdness, and that gets explained later. So yeah, it's a very cool creative premise. The book was really enjoyable. The writing was a little bit choppy at times, which partly because it's a YA novel, which is one reason why I opened this part of the video saying I need to take a little bit of a break from YA novels because they tend to be a little bit more choppy. And it also is a debut. Actually, no, it's not a debut novel. I'm sorry. Patrick Weeks has written other stuff, but they're like books that are derived from video games, I think, or like expanding video game worlds. Anyway. And then the other cool thing about this book is there's a lot of representation. So there's some kids with disabilities, there's some queer representation, And that was all handled pretty well, I think, with the caveat that so these superhero kids are all broken kids, and so this is like part of the discussion is they were all sort of, they seem to have been chosen for superpowers because of their disabilities, or their queerness, and some of their powers are sort of direct, uh, like direct opposites of the disability, if that makes sense, or things that like specifically overcome the disability. And so, in a way that is kind of cool, they get these special different abilities, but it's also a bit weird. It's like they're also like, these kids are great just for who they are. And like we get these really cool personalities, like they're all awesome. um so the one thing that, like, that's not really a critique even, that's just the sort of thing that I think about when reading a book like this. And I do know that the author Patrick Weeks actually did work directly with disability advocates, to sort of test those elements in the book. And so they have had, I think, some own voices and some advocacy folks that looked over those pieces of the writing. So I think that is really great. So yeah, I really loved that book. I would really highly recommend it to anyone who thinks, what was it? Anglerfish Teen Girl Superhero sounds awesome, because it is. Okay, so those are the two books that I finished recently, sort of wrapping up my month of May. It's Memorial Day, and I hope everyone is, in the US anyway, that has that holiday, I guess, is going to take the day off if they can, and do some fun, relaxing things and read some books. I will see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.